It's 27 degrees in Jacksonville, Florida. 8 in Huddersfield. It's 12 in Belfast. This is Teal Talk. I'm Jay Lawrence. As far as I know, there is still no relation. He's Kee Ramsorrun, and this is the official Jacksonville Jaguars podcast for the UK and Ireland. Kee, how are you?
Okay. It's getting harder and harder. It's getting harder and harder to say that I'm okay, Jay. But yeah, just about.
Well, look, just like the Jacksonville Jaguars, I have high hopes for this podcast in 2025. Kee, we need to make sure we do a good job. Plenty of you out there, you listen, you subscribe. We want to be back, talking about all the all-triumphant 2025 Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars that aren't going to be 2-8.
Are you done with 2024?
8-2. I've thought it many times this year, to be honest. I'm done with it. Anyway, we won't focus on 2025 too much right now, I suppose. But we can. But we won't. Kee, actually, great episode this, because we're going to be joined on this episode from Duval County by Jaguar Tyson Campbell. Great few weeks he's had. Was massive on Sunday against the Minnesota Vikings as well. We have another big question from a UK Jags fan. And as it gets cold in it, you remember what I said? 8 degrees in Huddersfield. 8 degrees in Huddersfield. We have a fantastic Jacksonville Jaguars hoodie to give away later in this episode of Teal Talk. Remember, all one word. And look ahead to Sunday's game in Detroit as the Jags suffered. And I feel like it's something that we say every single week. I swear it's every single week here at Teal Talk, Kee. Another narrow defeat, Kee.
It's something silly like 1-6 in under 5-point games, which is absolute madness. And a phrase I've heard a lot this week has been about teams finding a way to win. And I thought, do you know what? It's not only that the Jags don't find a way to win, they find a way to lose every week. The end of that fourth quarter was just like for the defense to hold them to 12, to keep them out of the end zone for the entire game, to be on the field for 6 hours, 5,000 combined tackles or whatever the silly numbers were, and to still come away losing that game. That was so tough. Minnesota, one of the best offenses in the league, to hold them to 12 and still lose. It's just... I feel this feels so different to my big gladiator Russell Crowe speech that I gave 2 weeks ago, Jay.
It does. And you know what? We won't focus on this game for too much. I mean, it's, we're closer now to the next game, but I think it does, need to be mentioned that, was it first drive or was it second drive of the game when Mac Jones runs in for the touchdown?
Yeah, the first was a 3 and out, and it was the second drive, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, at that point, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, how's this going to go? And then it obviously, it doesn't quite go, happen. We'll speak to Tyson Campbell briefly, about the game as well a little bit later.
There was a moment when I was watching, Jay, when in that first quarter where I was like, oh, is it hometown boy comes good and, helps the Jags turn a season around? But no, it wasn't that. It wasn't that in the end.
It wasn't.
But Jay, you didn't watch the game on Sunday, am I right?
No. I didn't watch it live because I was very excited to be invited by the Super Bowl host committee to go to New Orleans. So for a few days, I ate as much food as I think anybody has eaten in their life.
Incredible.
It is
although I've seen Josh Hines Allen in Sushi Samba, so maybe not.
To be fair, I say that it's probably what I had for a really large dinner is probably a pre-breakfast snack for, I think, certain NFL players, isn't it?
Did you try any gumbo?
Oh, yeah, I ate a lot of gumbo. I had the beignets. I had, what else did I have? Jambalaya. I had a stuffed quail for breakfast.
Jay, is this just becoming a weather and food podcast now?
It is. I feel like it is. I feel
minimal
like it is.
NFL talk.
I feel like it is. It was. It was. But no, it was a really great trip. I really enjoyed it. Almost, so much packed into a short space of time. But it did mean that I wasn't able to watch this game live, which meant that I was like checking it. We went to the New Orleans Saints game as we were there, and I was checking it on my phone, being like, was it 12? No, it was, what was it for? It was a long time. It was like 9-3.
Yeah, it was 7-3
or something. For a long time. I was like, is it still 7-3?
Yeah.
Like into like
for like
deep in the third
yeah.
quarter or something. Yeah. So I was like, it's just, and then I saw that it had all these interceptions. I was like, come on.
Yeah.
Surely this is going to happen. Cam Robinson, obviously, as well. I think, interesting. I suppose he was traded to the Minnesota Vikings less than 3 weeks ago, came up against his former team. 3 weeks difference. It's funny how it works, isn't it, in the NFL as well, against Josh Hines-Allen.
What a great matchup.
Let's be honest. It's a great matchup, but I'm sure there's a weird way he was probably relishing it, Cam Robinson, but also being like, I'm also going to be against Josh Hines-Allen, so I can't relish it, too much.
I mean, let's be frank. Josh absolutely dominated Cam in that matchup, and I think the production team in the US are absolute geniuses because they had Josh Hines-Allen mic'd up for it, which is now on their YouTube channel, and it's very entertaining. Go watch it.
Obviously, the one player that wasn't there in the game, and somebody who's not going to be at the Detroit Lions game either, it has been confirmed, is Trevor Lawrence, of course, the franchise quarterback, of the Jaguars, and that's why we mentioned that Mac Jones was playing quarterback with an AC joint injury.
Non-throwing shoulder.
I know exactly what that means. Yeah, non-throwing shoulder. Yeah, that's it. Which is obviously concerning. There has been a lot of talk and rumours of a potential season-ending surgery. Doug Peterson, the head coach, yesterday at his press conference says that there hasn't been any talk of that. But it's an interesting situation, isn't it? Now, where it's like if there was a situation where the best thing for Trevor and his long-term future and for next season is to not play for this season, what do you do, Kee? Because you could think, well, actually, it's not been a great season for the Jaguars. Do we just make sure that he's right as rain for next season?
Well, dude, that's the thing. I'm not a professional head coach or general manager, as you know, but
good to break. I
might be thinking about, we're 2-8. Do you think now's the time? Get the surgery, keep your guy healthy, and just go, do you know what? This season, from now, we'll talk about this a little bit later, I'm sure, but do you just go, we're 2-8, we start rebuilding, we start seeing what are the positives, and you let Trevor get his surgery? I don't know, man.
I think if it was any other player, you might not be having maybe this in a conversation that would be so nuanced almost. But with somebody who signed this big contract, he would have wanted this season to go with without a hitch. Obviously, he wanted to really show what he can do as a franchise quarterback. Somebody who has signed this this mammoth deal as well. He wouldn't want his season to go this way, and he won't want it to end this way as well. So if there's any way that he can get back on the field and be like, you know what, we've only won 2 games this season, but the tail end of the season, we did X, Y, and Z. We won however many games. Suddenly the conversation changes amongst fans a lot. You only need to see how the season ended last year, don't you, Kee? And to see how the conversation amongst fans, especially early in the off season, it wasn't as positive as it might have been had they ended on a couple wins. I feel like you get a couple wins under your belt towards the end of the season, and Trevor Lawrence is playing lights out, then fans are going to be feeling different to how they would if Trevor doesn't play at all for the rest of the season. But at the same time, it's long-term health, isn't it?
Yeah, it's long-term health, and also for the second half of last season, he played pretty regularly injured, and it wasn't great. Why? And my question would be, why would we do that again? It didn't work. Yeah. It didn't work last half of the season.
Long-term health is the most important thing, isn't it? I mean, even because long-term health for your quarterback is only ever going to be long-term health for the state of your team as well.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, Doug Peterson didn't say that they'd even spoken about surgery, so this is all sort of hypothetical at the moment. Mac Jones will be we'll speak about the Lions game in a bit, won't we? Mac Jones will be starting that game, though. CJ Beathard, you remember him?
So CJ Beathard, this is a ridiculous thing. I was talking to George, our runner, on Monday, and I realised CJ Beathard has won a third of the Jags' last 3 games for the Jags.
The last 3 wins, you
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. The last three wins,
So out of the last 3 wins,
a
he's won a
third
third
of
because
them
obviously it was
belong
last
to
season.
belong to CJ
Yeah,
Beathard.
that's weird, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's weird. That's almost as good as a stat that I found out the other day, non-Jags related stat, which was up until I think the last game or the game before, the Chiefs had won 2 Super Bowls in the same amount of time that it had taken Daniel Jones to throw 2 touchdowns at MetLife Stadium. Which is, and I remember I said to, I was talking to, do you know Phoebe
Yeah,
Schechter?
that's an excellent stat.
She's great. She told me that, and I was like, is that true?
Mm,
Because it just did not seem
yeah,
true.
that's
Anyway,
great.
look, we'll get on to the Detroit Lions game. Obviously, we've still got the big question to come from a Jacksonville Jaguars fan here in the UK and Ireland. First, though, let's hear from a man who had a great game against the Minnesota Vikings. Obviously, the result wasn't exactly how he wanted it to be. Tyson Campbell of the Jacksonville Jaguars. All right, joined by Tyson Campbell of the Jacksonville Jaguars, of course. Thanks for joining Till Talk, man. How's it going?
Man, it's going well, man. Can't complain. Another opportunity to get a victory, so I'm excited.
Well, look, we'll just really briefly just like look back at that last game. Good game for you personally against the Vikings. In fact, you know what? It was a good game for the whole of the defense, really. How do you look at that and think, right, how do we build on that for the rest of the season?
Yeah, like you said, man, something to build off of. Kind of creating a standard we want to have, moving forward, Jacksonville here. So, keeping teams out the end zone and creating turnovers is what you want to make your defense about. So, we learn from the mistakes we had from the game and continue to build on it this week in practice and hopefully, repeat the same performance this week.
Or as you say, you want turnovers, and that's exactly what happened in that last game. Difficult season for the Jaguars as a whole. I think it's fair to say. Maybe yourself as well. With the injuries, how do you stay resilient during tough periods of being a pro football player?
I think it's basically on my faith in my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Just staying heavy in prayer, having faith in Him, and then also just leaning on my brothers, knowing their support and their help with me and my friends and family, helping me as well. So I think that definitely played a part in allowing me to be resilient and having faith, knowing I can come back and be like my old self.
And Tyson, what's it been like having Coach Nielsen come in this season? How much of a difference does that make? What are the major differences between previous DCs and Coach Nielsen?
I think Coach Nielsen brings a different energy and tenacity approach. When it comes to his defense, his main motto is attack and aggressive. Um, not only does he want a defense that makes turnovers but he wants a defense that's physical, and that's you know aggressive and attacking every play. So I think his energy really sets him apart.
Congratulations on a new deal as well. Obviously, I mean, it might seem like a long time ago now, but congratulations locking you into the Jaguars for 4 more years, and more importantly as well, I'm sure this is the primary thing: 4 more years of coming to London, Tyson.
Yeah, man. Appreciate you once again. Yeah, coming to London is definitely a fun experience. Uh, I think hopefully my parents gonna be able to come for the first time next year, so I'm excited.
Lovely. Can you tell us some of your? You've been a few times now. Tell us some of your highlights over the years of coming to play in London.
Believe it or not, these past 2 seasons were the first time I actually went down to the city. But I definitely do. London is a beautiful city. Kind of reminds me of New York.
Mm.
More cleaner, much more cleaner. But
Depends which parts you go to, but yeah,
no,
I hear
true,
you,
true,
bro.
true, true,
Yeah.
true, true. But I definitely enjoyed kind of a new scenery. It's been pretty much cold every time I went.
Mm.
But yeah, it's a fun experience overall.
What do you do when you go out to the city? I mean, I know that there's some of your teammates enjoy going, shopping, maybe trying some British food.
Yeah, I don't do too much shopping, but I definitely indulge in the food and the restaurants out there.
I mean, I ask every single person we have on this podcast that goes out and tries British food. There's this stereotype that we don't have good food here in the UK. You need to comment on that, man. You need to tell us, is that right or is that wrong?
It's wrong. The food I've had in London's been pretty good. So
There we go.
I haven't had a bad experience. So
That's good so far. Look, the big receivers, they keep on coming. You had Justin Jefferson last weekend, Amon-Ra St. Brown with the Detroit Lions this weekend. Do you find yourself getting more motivated when you have, some of the best ballers around that you're going to be lining up against?
yes, definitely. You take it with pride and excitement to be able to go against the best of the best week in and week out. And so I'm grateful for the opportunity. I'm excited. I love to compete and ready to make some plays and contribute to getting us some W's.
Love that.
Love it, man. Love it. Thank you so much for joining us on Teal Talk today, man.
All right. Yeah. Appreciate y'all for having me, man.
Tyson Campbell with the Jacksonville Jaguars there. You liked his clothing choices, actually, didn't you? There,
Dude,
Kee?
that retro hoodie was banging, man. Yeah, I love that.
He said, actually, this was just before we started, he said that it was his rookie year.
Yeah.
And I wonder if, and I've no doubt that like NFL players will, but it depends what they choose to, if they keep those things, from their rookie year, because your rookie year will, always be one of the most important years for your career, emotionally, if nothing else. Do you know what I mean? So that, that hoodie, we'll be seeing that in 15 years.
You say that, Jay. Do you know what? Every game I've ever been to, every media event I've ever been to, I keep all the lanyards. So I imagine, they're keeping their stuff because their stuff's going to be a lot nicer than lanyards, right?
So when you go into an NFL game and you go through like this is going to sound very la-di-da now. It's not meant to. When you go through like the media part, now they have to like check your bag, obviously at Wembley or wherever, and then they put like a tag on it essentially, and it will be like a Jaguars themed tag, and it will be like Jaguars. Whoever they're playing. Anyway, so I always bring the same bag with me to all of these events. So I go to the Saints-Falcons game at the weekend, go through the whole thing. The person just gets some scissors out and just cuts them all off. And I'm looking there like,
dude.
That's years. That's years of games. Obviously, I didn't say anything because I do not have the... did not have any.
And also, they're holding a pair of scissors. Don't challenge them.
That's a fair point. I was like, thank you very much. But inside, I was dying.
Oh, that's so bad. I'm sorry, dude. That
years
sucks.
worth of, because people have said to me before, "Oh, you're showing off with them." It's like, no, it's just like a nice, memory almost.
I totally get it.
Anyway,
I totally get it.
they are now in a somewhere like a garbage can somewhere in Louisiana. Anyway, now. Never mind. Nice guy though, Tyson Campbell.
Tyson Campbell's a nice guy. Yeah,
Tyson
this
Campbell,
guy
nice
that's snipping the stuff off your bag. Not so much.
No, not a fan of him. Not a fan of him whatsoever. Tyson Campbell, fan of his, fan of how he's playing as well, and he had a big hand in that first interception, didn't he, in that last game? So let's just hope that he can bring it.
He's pivotal on that in that secondary, man.
I agree. And you know what's actually interesting is that we have spoken, and we don't need to go into the past. We don't need to look into the past too much, but like we have spoken about how at points this season the defense has needed to step up. Frankly, it's needed to. At some points it's been pretty not fun to watch. This last game, you don't have Trevor Lawrence on offense. And that's no disrespect to Mac Jones, whatever, but the offense wasn't grinding. It wasn't going as well as it should. Defense steps up, but they don't,
complimentary football, dude.
Not on the same week, man.
We talked about it a few weeks back where, like, all three phases have been doing decent stuff at some point, just sadly, rarely at the same time.
Yeah. Anyway, look, we'll go into Duval Dispatches. And we have spoken about this over the last couple of weeks. And I want to, before we even start speaking about this, I want to be clear that Kee is not eligible for this. He's not, and as much as he says that he thinks he is not eligible for this.
They've already written to me.
the NFL has launched its International Fan of the Year competition. So if you think you qualify, basically, if you aren't Key, make sure you get yourself onto NFL.com to register what makes you the best international Jags fan. It is closing soon. Get your applications in ASAP. And I think this is a big deal. This is a big deal.
I do too. I was thinking about this week. There's so many people.
For your application.
No, I was writing my bio. No, I was thinking about how many decent submissions that they're going to get from Jags fans internationally, because there's a lot of them, and there's a lot of them that really go to town, particularly on game day. It's great fun.
Yeah, and it's a big deal, and I know that you get some, previously anyway, there's been some really cool things happening afterwards. So if you think that this might be you, NFL.com, go register. And look, we also want to give away something very, very special this episode. Frankly, would quite like to get it myself, but no. This year, as I'm sure you are aware already, we celebrate 30 seasons, the 30th season of the franchise's history, and we had a range of bespoke merchandise created that was on sale during our Wembley game. So we have a fantastic teal talk hoodie.
That's good stuff, Jay.
See what I'm saying? It's good stuff. Whoa. We have a fantastic teal hoodie available for one lucky listener. So to be in with a chance of winning, tell us why you need this hoodie in your life. Get over to our YouTube right now and, put down why you think that would you deserve it. So it's at Jaguars UK. Make sure you subscribe to it. Get onto this video or, another video that we've put up recently on Jaguars UK and write why you think that you deserve that hoodie. Key. I want to be clear as well, because previously people have written poems and they've won. You don't have to do that.
I mean, a limerick is always nice.
Yeah, it's always nice, but you don't have to.
No, you don't have to, but it is nice.
It will be. You don't have to do that. Haiku?
Key.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that.
That was a great joke.
Okay. All right. What is on the Sky Show this week, anyway, with Reece Parkinson?
We have the highlights of the Vikings game. JP and Reece then break it down. Tony's going to preview the Lions game. But highlight for me is lots of slow motion shots of Darnell Savage with that third interception, and then an interview between Reece and him. They talk about jewelry game. I may have prompted that.
Well, you've got a good jewelry game, to be fair.
I'm obsessed with jewelry. Darnell Savage's jewelry game is, very, very good. You can watch it tonight, which is Wednesday, 9 p.m, Sky Sports NFL. Then it will be repeated throughout the week, and then all of the bits will make it onto the Jaguars UK YouTube channel later on in the week.
Can I tell you my favourite bit of the show every single week as well? You think I'm going to say something stupid? Oh, you think I'm going to say our picture?
Yes.
At the end of the show? No.
Say, yes.
I forgot about that. No, there was one time that you put footage out though of the show. Haven't done it since. Anyway,
I have. I've done it this week.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Oh,
you're not in it though, Jay. It's me and Trayvon Walker.
Coincidentally, it's you and Trayvon Walker. Okay, fine, whatever. That wasn't even going to be what I was going to say. And no disrespect to Reece, no disrespect to JP, but Tony Baselli being on, he is vocal. Yeah. He gives his opinions, and as Hall of Famer that he is able to give his opinions. He deserves to give his opinions. He is incredibly articulate with his feelings about the Jacksonville Jaguars as well every single week. That's always one of my
It's
highlights.
really good stuff. Do you know what is also really good about it is that generally speaking, they record that after happy hour. So Tony's had a chance to practice everything he's going to say, and then he says it even better for our show, which is great.
Great. Even more articulate. That's even better. Okay. FYI, we're going to go into the big question in a moment. So we get a Jacksonville Jaguars fan from the UK.
Sorry, Jay, I didn't recognise what you said then. Go into the what?
The big question.
That's not how you normally say it, Jay. Please say it how you normally say it.
Okay. The big question.
It's been getting bigger every week.
I was going to do that in a second. We're going to go into it in a second where we get a fan from the UK and Ireland on to give us the big question. If you want to be featured as our fan of the week and give us your prediction as well of an upcoming game, get in touch via the media drop down on jaguars.co.uk. Jaguars.co.uk, go on the media drop down and we will add you to the list. Kee, do you want to give it a go?
What?
Not being a fan, as in the big question. No, the big question. You can say it if you want.
Okay, it's time for the big question. It's good.
That was vomit-inducing. That was vomit. Is that what I sound like?
Yeah, that's what it's like every week for me. So thanks.
Anyway, let's go into the fan. All right, let's welcome this week's fan of the week, Jacksonville Jaguar fan, of course, from the UK and Ireland, Simon Flood. How's it going, mate?
I'm good. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, not at all, man. Not at all. I mean, I caught up with you, didn't I? The games. We actually had you on the podcast already a few weeks ago, didn't we?
Yes.
Straight after.
Me straight after the Wembley game. It was fantastic.
Yeah, literally field side. Literally, like, you
Yes.
know, right by the field. And actually, what happened there, didn't it, Simon, is that you'd already messaged me and said, oh, you know, I might see you at the game. And I just saw you, which is weird, isn't it? You never think that would happen. Do you know what I mean?
Literally,
like
just happened that our seats were right underneath the press box, and I'm walking out, and you're running down.
Yeah, I was like, all right, let's have a chat then, mate.
Yeah.
How have you? Okay, let's go straight into it. Actually, what is your big question?
With the season not unfolding as fans wanted or hoped it to be, what can the Jaguars do to right the ship and get us back on track?
An interesting question. And in fact, Simon, I think that's a question that's going to be a lot of Jags fans are probably thinking about right now and have been thinking about. And it probably is not helped. And we've already spoken about it on the podcast as well. So we don't need to delve into it too much deeper. But it's not helped by the fact that your franchise quarterback is unable to play at the moment. Does anything pop to mind, Kee?
I think righting the ship is not like, at some point we have to go, we're 2-8. At some point, do we just go, what needs to happen for the rest of this season is we need to identify strengths, identify weaknesses, and go, this is now looking forward to 2025 season and the off season. And it's not necessarily going, we're going to turn it around, we're going to right the ship, we're going to make a playoff run. But actually what we need to do is go, let's settle down for a second. Let's find out what's working, what isn't working, and start applying that. And just forget our expectations for the season. And do you know what? Just start playing better. Just start playing better. That for me. That's all I want for the rest of this season. I don't expect anything anymore. I don't mind a narrow loss if I think they've played well. The frustrating thing is that they haven't played well and there's more going wrong than is going right. And it makes it so hard to stay positive and be a fan. Whereas what I think, if we just slightly pivot our expectations to go, do you know what? Let's look at what's working, what isn't working, and start to build towards the off-season and the 2025 season. That's my take on it.
Yeah, I think that there'll be some, I'll be frank and I'll be honest, I think there'll be some fans right now that are thinking, you know, 2-8, let's just, you know, we're in a difficult situation right now, playoffs look unlikely, let's just go all out for the number one draft pick. And I want to be clear and say that nobody is thinking about that in the organization. Nobody. At the end of the day, every single one of those players, every single one of those coaches, general manager, whatever, like front office, they have a job to do. They won't be satisfied with the job that they're doing. And at the end of the day, they won't want to be known as somebody who hasn't performed, you know. Mm-hmm. So that isn't going to happen. I really like what you said there, Kee, about it is about analyzing who you've got and what you've got right now and what you can take forward. Because this won't be the team next year. It won't be the team next year because that's just not how NFL rosters work. It's nothing to do with the Jaguars. It just won't be the team. There'll be players that move on. There'll be new players that come in. Obviously, there's going to be draft picks. So it's about seeing, right, who are we comfortable with who is a good fit? Who do we see in our roster next year? Who do we see in our starting lineups next year? Who are the potential captains next year? They might not be the same, and then looking forward to next year as well. Do they do that now? I think as fans we can do that. I think the front office will be thinking that, but I think that the coaches really are going to be thinking next week, week after, week after. And it's tough really in this situation because there is no obvious answer here, because whatever you do isn't going to make a difference short term. You get, some fans might be thinking, let's get a new head coach. It's not going to make a difference. Not going to make a difference, short
No, I
this
just
season,
think, yeah, that's talking about that in the middle of a season is, yeah, I just don't think that's helpful. Tony says it every week on the show that the Jags lose. There's no point thinking about 4 weeks down the road. There's no point thinking about the off season. Think about your next practice. Think about your next rep, next practice, walk through, game on Sunday. That's it. Think about that. Think about doing the best that you can do up until that point. And that's, do you know what? As fans, I reckon that's what we should be doing as well.
And also, it's important because there might be some units that might not have had the best first part of the season. I mean, we just spoke about how the defense hadn't been playing great and they played well in that last game, So it's like, if they were to go on and certain players were to shine, well, your thoughts about the defense are suddenly very different to how they were at the beginning of the season. Anyway, what do you think, Simon? What's your opinion?
I think you're all right. There's no right answer for right now. There needs to be kind of as you say, the review of how do we handle next year at this point. There needs to be the review of what quality players we've got, how do we get them to perform at the highest level, and what can we bring in to make them better for next year, whether that's looking at coaching or other swapping out team members or whatever. It needs to be of what is next, not necessarily what is now. We need to get the most out of the players we have to then move forward to be a better Jaguars next year.
I can understand why that's it's kind of frustrating though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Because you'd
Simple as
rather,
that. Yes.
you'd rather it be 8-2 right now. 8-2
Yes.
right now, I can understand why, that's very frustrating for Jacksonville Jaguars fans. Simon, you're a Jags fan, obviously. You've brought your partner, is that right, into being a Jags fan as well?
Yes. So I've been a Jags fan for about a decade now. So I first started watching Super Bowls and stuff way back when, and then I went to a random NFL game at Wembley in 2015 and bought the quarterback at the time's jersey. So I ended up with a Bortles jersey and was like, right, I'm a Jags fan now, I'm here. And then I've been my partner for most of that time, and she had no interest in it whatsoever. And last year, I started playing for my local team. So I played for the Liberty Bombers. And she then, of course, comes down, supports me, supports what I'm doing, and has seen the game and seen me doing it and seen the mechanics of what actually goes on. And she's then been brought in accordingly, that now she's a Jags fan because she'll sit with me on a Sunday evening, watch the game, love it, as it were.
What
That's
position you
perfect.
playing, Simon?
I'm a centre.
Fantastic.
Oh, okay. So you play like full contact.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
This is actually my helmet that you can see behind me.
do you know what?
Oh, brilliant.
Because we'll get onto your background in a second, but that helmet behind you, because it said Bombers on it, and I was thinking a second ago, I was like, what's that about? I don't know. I don't think that's a Jags thing that I've missed. You know what I mean? How do you find playing then? Do you enjoy it?
Yes. So I've been playing for 2 years now, and it was a struggle to start with because I'd done very little sport before that. But I'm now in a position where I've kind of got my body conditioned to play for 3 hours on a Sunday. And yeah, it's amazing. The team camaraderie we have, like our offensive line, we're a little unit within a unit, as it were. And I was literally before the call today, I was messaging them going, what's my big question going to be, and getting their input. And yeah, it's everyone supports different NFL teams, but we'll support the Bombers.
I think that's amazing, and you know what? I think that there's a slight, not misconception per se, but if you want to get involved in American football, you can get involved in American football here in the UK.
Yeah.
Even whether it's I mean, obviously the Jags themselves do so many amazing things. whether it's flag football or otherwise. Because for me, I'm too scared to play full contact American football. I don't think I have the physique for it, to be honest with you.
You're such a big guy, Joe.
I'm just shut up. Shut up.
You're so hard, man. You're so tough.
That was awful to hear. Well, I maybe flag. I'd play flag, I think, but that's it. But I think it's amazing that that there's that camaraderie, as you say, because you hear about it a lot in NFL teams, don't you? But to have it when you're playing here in the UK is amazing. Do you want to talk us through your background then? Because as far as I can see, you've got one personalized jersey. You've got another jersey there. By the sound of things, you've got more than that. You're wearing one. You've got, is it 2 helmets behind you, 4 caps, you've got a ball, 2, are they like game flags or towels?
Yeah. So these 2 flags are flags that you get on the chair at Wembley. So I've got every flag that was ever on the chair at Wembley that I've been to, apart from the one year they made it out of a bin bag and it fell apart before I got out of the stadium.
Okay.
Literally, if you were there, it was literally the hard plastic. It just fell apart rather than fabric. I've got my actual Bombers helmet. I've got a mini Riddell helmet for Jags and the same for the Bombers. With 2 little mini, even minier Riddell helmets down here. That Duke football was actually I bought that at the same time I got my Bortles jersey at Wembley in 2015. And since I bought that has now actually been on the field and played a bit with us at the Bombers just as practice.
Nice.
So,
nice.
And yet I have more hats than you can imagine I have. I've only put a handful of them out. Generally, if I go to a game, I'm going to come back with a hat. This was this year's hat that I came back with. I've got my prized Trevor Lawrence jersey. I've got my Minshew jersey. I got that the first year he was playing for us. I got that at Wembley. The personalised flood jersey is actually my game day jersey. That's what I play in on a game day, which is why it's got my number on it. I play as number 72.
Why do you play as 72? Is there any reason for that?
The official reason is that it's the year my brother was born. So
nice. What's the unofficial reason?
That they laid out all the jerseys in size order, and it was the only one that fit.
I like both.
Is this? Which one did you tell your brother?
The first one, of course.
Yeah, I thought you might. Yeah, I thought you might tell that one. Yeah,
until he hears this podcast.
yeah. I was on a podcast, bro, but I don't think you'd be interested in listening to it. Thank you so much for joining us today, Simon. It's been brilliant. We are going to talk about the Detroit Lions game after this. Every single week, we have a fan predict the score of the game and join in with our tally, our charts. So far, I'm on 4. He's on 2. Fans are on 2. What do you predict the score will be?
The big question is Trevor going to play?
No, he's been confirmed he's not going to play.
Okay. So in which case, then I think either way, it's going to be a very tight game in the same way the Vikings game was tight. I think it's going to be something like a 14-17 game or something of that nature. And just because I would never say anything otherwise, I think it's going in the favour of the Jags, but it could be either way. Okay.
17-14 Jags win against Detroit Lions. Simon, thank you so much for being on Teal Talk today.
Thank you very much, guys.
That is a big prediction, I think, there from Simon.
I like it,
but I know it's going to be different to yours. We'll get to your prediction in a second, but let's just talk through this game coming up on Sunday. 2-8, the Jags are right now. Mathematically, they still have a shot. Texans, they dropped to 6-4 with a loss to the Detroit Lions on Sunday Night Football, who are obviously the next opponents for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Potentially the best team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions.
Vying for the number 1 spot in the NFC, that's for sure, yeah.
Yeah, a really great performance against the Texans as well, coming from far behind, but multiple interceptions for Jared Goff. They are 8-1. Last time the Jags played the Lions, 2022.
What was it?
they got
5
blown out.
interceptions he threw, Jay. That's
Goff threw 5 interceptions. I think it's something like the first time in however many years, it was a long time, that a player has thrown 5 interceptions. They were down 15 points and they come back to win. So it's but the Detroit Lions, what's that word that people always use about them? Grit. They always say grit. Dan Campbell and all the rest of it. So it is undoubtedly going to be tough. And unfortunately, I have to bring it back to the thing that we've already spoken about, is that Trevor Lawrence is not going to be playing, Key. Mac Jones is going to be leading the offense, an offense that had one good drive throughout the whole of the last game, and the rest of it was nothing much. Let's be honest, it was nothing much.
No, I mean they basically did nothing after that 70+ yard drive, did they? Yeah, on offense.
And just to make things worse, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, you've got Williams the burner there as well. David Montgomery, they've got one of the best running back tandems in the league. Great defense.
And it's a hostile place to play
game
as well.
Yeah.
It is hostile up there. It's a really, really tough game. However, look at Sunday. Look against the Vikings. The Vikings, you could also say, one of the best teams, certainly in the NFC, possibly in the whole league, right? The Jags held them to 12 points, kept them out of the end zone. If you repeat that, and Mac Jones can do more like he did in that second drive, why not? Why not?
I mean, it is asking... Sorry, you're the positive one, I think, here, aren't you, Key? You're the positive one, because I'm looking at this being like, you've asked them... You're saying, hey, do more of that one drive, and, don't worry about all the other stuff.
It's not that hard to ask, is it? Don't do the picks, Mac. Hey, Mac. Don't throw the picks.
Mac.
Right?
Do me a favour.
When the ball snapped, just hold on to it, man.
Yeah.
Dude,
yeah.
do the second drive. That was good. Do that again. I should be a quarterback coach.
That scoring thing? Yeah, you should. It's going to be a tough game nonetheless. But I tell you what, you know what I was talking about a little bit earlier on, about how you want your season to end well, so then you can feel like there's a bit of a vibe, like a bit of hype, like some positivity going into the off season. I know we're a few weeks away from the off season still, but wouldn't that be just a perfect little gem of a result that you were able to hold on to? Jaguars win. And not only did the Jaguars win, they win against arguably the best team in the NFL. Well, what does that say about the Jags? More than you think. So I think that there is a lot of love and excitement to play this game, even if they're not going to be the favourite.
I agree. I completely agree. And it wouldn't surprise me at all. If you told me the Jags now make a playoff run and win the Super Bowl at the end of the season, also wouldn't surprise me. Here's the thing, right? The Jags are 2-8. And yes, that makes them currently the worst team in the NFL. But actually, they don't play like they're the worst team in the NFL. Let's not forget, they've had an incredibly tough stretch of teams. They are not, despite their record, they are not the worst team in the NFL by any means. And can they beat the Lions? Yeah, they absolutely can beat the Lions.
And I think actually it is testament that, generally speaking, I don't think I've heard one, and I listen to a lot of stuff. I read a lot of NFL stuff. I don't think I've read or listened or watched one person say the Jaguars are the worst team in the NFL or anything like that. Sometimes circumstance just comes into play, doesn't it? That was a nice. Can you give us like a 2-sentence bit of key positivity to end the podcast?
Dude, I just did it.
No, no, but I spoke over it. So can you do it again? Just give us another one.
They might be 2-8. But they're not that bad. That's all you're getting.
All right, that was all we got. Oh no, we need to do our predictions. We haven't done our predictions. Yeah. Key, give us a prediction.
I'm gonna go. I'm not gonna go specific. I'm gonna go Jags score 40+ and Lions score less than 20.
Okay, not specific at all. I did it again, and I should go first because whenever you come out with this, it just make me look boring. Or whatever. Unfortunately, yet again, I know this is awful. I'm gonna have to say it's a Lions win.
Fair.
A Lions win. I think that that without Trevor Lawrence, it's going to be tough. Detroit Lions, one of the best teams in the league. Let's go with 21-17. We'll be back next week. This has been a Shooting Shark production for Jacksonville Jaguars, UK and Ireland. And as I said before, go subscribe wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube as well.